Just wanted to make a really quick video. This week's discussion was to think about the agroecosystem and come up with some ideas from the class that could either increase crop production or increase farm sustainability. And so I wanted to go through some sort of common ideas that usually come up in previous years, since we won't have the luxury of kind of doing this in the classroom together. So these are some of them, right? So remember the green world hypothesis. One way to prevent herbivory might be to add predators to ecosystems. So people had ideas to sort of foster birds and bats and mammals in ecosystems. And in fact, people try this sometimes. You can get a lot of benefits actually from having a prairie strip people are finding near your farm. The diversity productivity relationship made students often think about mixed cropping, right? Crop fields usually have one species, but we know that diversity might increase production. And actually, agriculture people have known this for a long time too. And then my understanding is the primary limitation here is an engineering one. You can't, it's hard to build a machine that can harvest soybeans and corn and tomatoes from the same field, even if that might be better. We already talked about over allocation, right? That it might be useful to get rid of, it might be useful to use this over allocation in some crops where we actually harvest the leaves and the roots, like spinach or carrots. The self-thinning law for weed suppression isn't a common idea that students think of, and in fact, it's one that people have used over the years. That if you can increase the density of planting, that you might be able to suppress weed growth. If you can breed crops so that they don't play over allocation gains. And in fact, a really recent gain in maize breeding kept, instead of the ears flopping over, they stick straight up. And so it allows the corn to be grown really close together. If you remember that dreadful Kevin Costner film with the baseballers coming out of the field, you can't walk through a cornfield the way those ghosts could in that weird baseball game. And then, thinking back to physiology, high carbon dioxide in greenhouses is something students often think of, that if you could juice the photosynthesis by pumping CO2 into greenhouses, that this might be good. And in fact, that is something that hothouse growers use. And so, here's just a few examples. This isn't everything. The discussion's been really interesting. It's cool to see all the ideas that you guys came up with. But here's just a few ideas to get you kind of thinking about how you might use these different ideas to innovate new and important things. That's what science is all about.